Welcome to rationals. Rational is just a fancy word meaning fractions. So in math, whenever you have a real complicated fraction right here, we call it rationals. So let's look at this first one to simplify. A lot of times with rationals, the key is to know how to factor them. You cannot cancel. A lot of people just want to cancel this x with one of these x's and leave one x on the bottom. You can't cancel with rationals if you have adding and subtracting unless you factor first. So you really want to factor first. Okay, this top will stay x plus y. And this bottom needs to be factored. This is difference of squares. So we have x plus y times x minus y. Now that we have factored, now we can cancel. This x plus y cancels with this x plus y. Since there's nothing left on the top, we put a 1 there. And then we have x minus y on the bottom, and that's our answer. That has been simplified. Same thing here. You can't just cancel these x's right here because there's adding and subtracting unless you factor first. So we'll factor this top. We're going to unfoil this. What two numbers multiply to be negative 30 and add to be positive 1? Plus 6 and minus 5. And the bottom here, this is a negative 1. What two numbers multiply to be negative 20 and add to be negative 1? That'd be x minus 5 times x plus 4. Now that I've factored, now I can cancel. My x minus 5's cancel. So I have x plus 6 over x plus 4. Again, notice my x's here cannot just cancel out, one from top, one from bottom, because I have the adding there. Down to multiplying. Again, the key is to factor before you start doing anything. When we have multiplication, when you multiply fractions, I use a little rhyme, multiplying fractions, it's no problem. First you do the top, then you do the bottom. You multiply straight across the top and straight across the bottom. But before we do that, let's factor a little bit. Okay, this we can unfoil, and it factors to x minus 3 times x minus 3. Negative 3 times negative 3 makes positive 9. Negative 3 plus negative 3 makes negative 6. And then we're just going to multiply that by x squared. Now I'm not even going to actually multiply it out because I just have to factor it to be able to cancel anyway. So I'm just going to write it right there and see if that helps me do any canceling. On the bottom, I'm going to multiply x times x minus 3. Again, I'm not going to multiply it out because I just have to factor it again so I could cancel. So now I look to cancel. Okay, I can cancel an x minus 3 from both top and bottom. Oh, and I have an x on the bottom and an x squared here. So one of my x's cancels out. So what am I left with? An x times x minus 3 on the top. And then on the bottom, I've got nothing left, which means a 1. But if you divide something by 1, that doesn't really change it. So my answer is here. X times x minus 3. You could also have x squared minus 3x. You could distribute that out if you wanted it to. Dividing. To divide fractions, you multiply by the reciprocal. So we're going to take this fraction and multiply it by the reciprocal of this fraction. So we'll just flip it upside down. But again, I don't want to multiply all this stuff out if I'm just going to have to factor it anyway. So I'm going to start by factoring, and then I'll try to multiply. So this first one here, I'm going to unfoil. I get x minus 3 times x plus 2. Again, the negative 3 and the 2 multiply to be negative 6, add to be negative 1. Over, this is difference of squares, x plus 2 times x minus 2. And then I'm going to multiply that. So actually, I'm just going to end up multiplying this stuff, so it's going to go all together in one big term. So I'm going to flip it. So this is going to go on the top this time. So that will be x minus 2 times x plus 3. And then this will go on the bottom. When you divide by fractions, you multiply by the reciprocal. That's why this one's going on the bottom. So difference of squares is x plus 3 times x minus 3. Now that I have it all together, I'm going to see if anything cancels here. X plus 3 cancels with an x plus 3, x minus 3 with an x minus 3, x minus 2 and an x minus 2, x plus 2 and x plus 2. Hey, look at that. Everything canceled. That means I'm left with just a 1 on the top and the bottom. So my final answer is 1.